Go. And now, welcome to this session.
This talk showcases how innovative software and analytics solutions in industrial automation are creating real-world impact, from improving urban transportation to conserving water resources, highlighting the role of technology in building a more sustainable future. With 24 years in software development, our next speaker is a pioneer in Manila's software industry. He is the site and technology leader for Emerson, focused on driving strategic growth and advancing industrial automation. Everyone, please welcome Mr. Anthony Bacolod.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hey, good morning, everyone. Can you hear me well? Can I get a thumbs up from? All right, thank you. So I am Anthony Bacolod. I am the technology leader for a group in Emerson, Reliability Solution. And I'd like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk today. Feel very excited. I can see lots of thumbs up people. I'll try to make this as much as engaging as possible. Um, so can you see my screen now? Is that a yes? Yes, I can see screens. So I'll be talking about resiliency in the IT industry. But before that, I'd like to introduce myself more. Um, I am I'm so excited to be here. But before we even dive into the topic, let's share a bit about what drives me outside of this work, outside of IT. My family, of course, is the biggest source of inspiration, and I keep a picture of them nearby as a reminder of their support. Um, I'm also a dog person. We have a golden retriever who brings a lot of fun and energy into our lives. Um, I'm I've always also been a fan of football. It's a passion that started during my stay in Germany when I was a kid. And it's great to see, my own kids now playing competitively for their schools, while I'm more likely to be playing badminton these days now because you know age, but also my love for football still runs deep. You'll also see windsurfing there. It may sound exotic, but it's really a simple, about the simple thrill of it. And of course, my passion for two wheels is undeniable. Whether I'm riding my Vespa bike or my big bike in the track or cycling. So I hope this gives you a little insight into my life and the energy I bring to my personal but and also professional pursuits. So let's get started. So my topic is resilience. So I'd like to start with a quick question. Which of these do you think is more resilient? Is it a rubber band that can stretch and go back into shape? Or B, a steel beam that holds up under pressure, but it can bend? Or C, a tree that stands but yet sways with the wind? Can you provide, some, can you answer with A, B, or C? Which do you think is more resilient here? Yeah, so I can see answers scrolling, and that's great. Um, well, uh, I have to, bail out on this and say, each one of these has its strengths. But today we'll explore how the IT industry combines all of these qualities. This is flexibility, strength, and adaptability to innovate further. Okay, so we use that together. I have been in the IT industry for many years now, with 20 of those with Emerson. And I've had the opportunity to see, firsthand how we have been resilient by innovating alongside our customers. So today I want to share two stories that shows this journey. And before I do that, let me provide you some context on what Emerson is and how we serve our customers, because my stories will be based on those capabilities. If I want you to remember something about Emerson, it's that Emerson is a global leader in automation, technology, and software. Allow me to introduce you to our bold team. No, you say go boldly because we are trying to solve the unsolvable. Because we often face challenges that seems impossible at first sight. Kasi we are dealing with complex issues that impact the entire industries. For example, energy, manufacturing, and beyond. But it is in those moments, when stakes are high, that's where we thrive. And we do that by leveraging our portfolio of analytics and automation solutions. And then we collaborate closely with our customers to transform these challenges into opportunities. So our approach is not about offering a one size fits all, but rather it's about really understanding the unique needs of the customer and creating strategies with them that turn those into roads or paths to move forward. So even the most unsolvable problems can be tackled with the right tools and a collaborative mindset. So this is actually the essence of resilience: adapting, innovating, and finding solutions where others might see roadblocks. Next, no, I'd like us to take a look at Emerson at a glance. I did tell you it's a global leader in automation technology. We work with customers in critical industries like energy, chemicals, power, and renewables. We also do life sciences, and we help them operate more sustainably and reliably. our solutions, the one we're doing here is support these industries as they work through the challenges of the world's most pressing problems. But at the same time, we have to ensure that they are safe and they are environmentally responsible. So Emerson is organized into two general business group. One is device centric, and it focuses on the hardware and physical assets needed to optimize the operations I'm talking about. While the software groups, which I belong to, we deliver advanced analytics, monitoring, and automation solutions, and we drive that digital transformation. So together, these two groups create a comprehensive approach to solving the problems of our customers. So we combine those physical devices with digital intelligence. And we are proud of our consistent track record. We have been delivering value to our customers, as reflected there. It's 67 years of consecutive increasing dividends. It's an indicator of the trust our customer place in our innovation. And for the impact, it is quite far reaching. 20% of the global power generation relies on Emerson software. And this includes actually power plant customers in the Philippines. 65% of electric vehicles produced worldwide uses our solutions. And Tesla is one of our customer. And all of the 25 top life sciences companies use our software to ensure safety and efficiency. So these are the companies that provided vaccines during the outbreak. And so, moreover, we have a strong culture of innovation. Imagine we have over 17,000 employee owned patents globally, and including, I think, more than 200 owned by Manila engineers right here. And these are both software and hardware patents. So, with 74,000 employees worldwide and over 2,000 of them based in Manila, our company's influence is really extensive and deeply rooted in local expertise. And this commitment to excellence has also earned us a recognition as the IIoT Company of the Year and a spot on the Forbes list of most innovative companies, ranking at 33. So these accomplishments underscore our resilience as a company. So our ability to adapt, innovate, and lead in an ever-changing landscape of the IT industry. It's the same resilience that empowers us to continually solve the unsolvable. We go boldly for our customers. Now, I'm going to present to you some of the innovations that is expected to accelerate growth. This is important because the stories I'm going to tell you um, includes some of these things. No, these advancements reflect our commitment in leading the automation technology and the software solutions to meet those requirements for those critical industries. So first, we are developing disruptive measurement technologies such as next generation pressure and temperature transmitter. These are devices that offer greater accuracy, reliability, flexibility to enable our customers to optimize their operations by providing them very precise and real-time data. So they empower industries to make smarter and faster decisions. While on the right-hand side, we are pioneering the software-defined automation system, which includes advanced capabilities such as edge computing and hyper-converged infrastructure. Uh, this new approach moves beyond the traditional automation boundaries, bringing us closer to the vision of boundless automation. So it allows our customers to scale their operations, seamlessly integrate their systems and processes across the multiple levels to maximize their efficiency and flexibility. On the lower left, we have the self-optimizing asset software. This is transforming your asset management, your enterprise asset management, by incorporating our device data management, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and first principle models. So this solution helps business predict, adapt, and optimize their asset performance. So it enhances yung maintenance strategies natin, it reduces the downtime and improves overall operational efficiency. And finally, sustainability. We are addressing the dual challenge of, you want to increase there's an increasing demand, but we want to reduce the emission. And this is through our innovations in renewables. So our hydrogen flow meter is an example of how we are advancing the measurement solution for clean energy. And meanwhile, our Ovation green renewable software is designed to optimize renewable power generation assets. So these innovations showcase our technical leadership, but also demonstrates our resilience as a company. We are pushing boundaries in measurement, in automation, renewables, hardware, software, and we remain at the forefront of developing these solutions to empower our customers. So, having said that, let's move on to my first story. While we have countless stories about collaborating with large global customers, I chose one that is closer to home. This example is not only highlights the impact of the technology, but shows our ability to innovate across a different industry. So this involves a vertical level industry. It focuses on asset management, but this is it's a first of a kind deployment in the transportation sector. Usually we do the traditional energy manufacturing space, but this story illustrates how we leverage our expertise in industrial automation to create a solution to meet a critical transportation network. So let me introduce to you to our customer, Hong Kong MTR. MTR stands for the Mass Transit Railway, and it is one of the most efficient and extensive transportation system in the world. It serves as a backbone of Hong Kong's public transport with over 5 million passengers using the system daily. And one of the remarkable features of the MTR is its infrastructure. The system has over 90 escalators, some of which are among the longest in the world. Actually, it stretches an impressive 50 meters or more. And additionally, their network, the MTR network, it reaches a remarkable depth. With some stations located as far as 40 meters below ground, making it one of the deepest underground transit systems globally. So if you look at this scale and their efficiency, if you think about it, MTR is not just a mode of transportation, it's a vital part of the daily life for our Hong Kong residents. And of course, visitors as well. No? So, how many of you had the chance to experience the MTR during a visit to Hong Kong? Can you give me a raise of hand? Yeah, so I can see hands raising, and I hope you can relate to what I've seen because it's really fascinating. It's a blend of technology and human engineering, and you will see it connect millions of people every day. So, however, maintaining those escalators within MTR, it really presents a challenge, a significant challenge for them. Traditionally, their engineers would manually collect vibration data from the sensors installed on the bearing cases of those escalators. So they would use a portable device to sample and then save these measurements, which then they would load it later into our software back at the headquarters. So this route based method is it poses a risk, because critical alerts and other important vibration information may be missed, during the sampling, and this leads to potential issues being overlooked. Now, I just want you to understand the importance of that vibration data for maintaining those escalator. Consider yung analogy of a car. Similarly to a car, or when you're doing regular maintenance checks and diagnostics, it helps identify the issues in a vehicle. Okay, so those engine vibrations do signal a problem. So when we are monitoring vibration data from escalators, it allows us to detect irregularities that may, indicate wear or impending failure. And so we continue by continuously analyzing those data, we can exactly pinpoint problems before they escalate. So ensuring a smoother operation and minimizing the downtime. And this proactive approach, it enhances the safety and reliability for users. And it also reduces the maintenance cost and improves the overall lifespan of the escalator. So with that, no, the team felt pressure to deliver because these are originally built for plants, heat exchangers, plant assets, and we're pushing it to its limit by adapting it to escalators and elevators. So this journey was filled with moments of discovery, excitement. We were thinking, would they be able to understand the analytics that we are presenting them to suit their application? Uh, would we prove the value of these real-time monitoring to the MTR team, as they have long relied on their manual process? So the breakthrough came after countless hours of testing, tweaking, and working hand in hand now with the MTR engineers. When they successfully deployed the proof of concept, the team felt a wave of relief and pride. The newly implemented system allowed for real-time data collection and instant alerts. Finally giving the engineers the power to monitor every escalator without leaving their control room, no? And so they're no longer tied down by repetitive site visits, and they could focus on preventing issues, before they happen. So for the MTR team, this was a shift, a transformative shift. So what used to be a manual, labor-intensive task became an streamlined, efficient process. It's you it would have been the joy and the relief in their eyes, as they watch the real-time data flow in. It's a moment, the team won't forget, because they know we didn't just deliver a product, um, but they had given these engineers their time back. So time to focus on other critical tasks. They can innovate further with their operations, and there's time to ensure more of the safety of the Hong Kong commuters. Um, the success story didn't end there. MTR's enthusiasm led to plans uh, to expand the solution. We call it the AMS Asset Monitor across the entire network, including future stations. No, for the team, no, it was not not just a business win. It was a validation of their belief that listening to customers and committing to their needs, this creates a lasting impact. Um, our solution is actually an edge analytics device. So it analyzes the data on the edge, and we can perform deeper analytics that help in understanding the health and performance of the escalators over time. And this not only enhances the reliability of the MTR system, but it also empowers the maintenance team with the insights they need to make those decisions and improve the safety and efficiency of the transportation for the daily commuters. Um, it is this collaboration that reminded the team of the power of partnership and innovation. And this solution truly exemplifies how innovation can transform asset management in the transportation industry. It's quite satisfying knowing they had touched lives and made the daily routines of the engineers and passengers safer and smoother. So, in summary, it's the, our journey with Hong Kong MTR became a story of not just a technical transformation, but human connection. A reminder when technology, empathy, working comes together, we can create meaningful change. So while I'm excited to share all the technical details, screenshots of the software of our innovative solutions, I just want to emphasize no, that it is the customer collaboration in this journey. This is the most important one to be resilient. At Emerson, we believe that true innovation stems from working closely with our customers and understand their unique challenges and needs. Um, we engaged in extensive discussions with the engineering team and grasps the details, the intricacies of their maintenance processes, and ensure that our edge analytics device would integrate smoothly with their system. So, as much as I'd love to dive deeper into the technical specification and functionalities of our edge software, I encourage you to visit our booths where our team is ready to discuss these aspects in details. There you can explore the technology that supports our solution and learn more about how we can work together to tackle similar difficulties or similar opportunities. Ultimately, it's this collaborative approach that drives success and helps us resolve those unsolvable problems. Okay, so I'm moving now to our next story. Uh, it is one of the story of resilience driven by innovation, but also a commitment to improve the lives of a community. So, in the rural outskirts of North Luzon, a new 10-kilometer water pipeline was underway. It's a pipeline project, a water pipeline project. And the objective was clear, but very crucial. No, they want to establish a remote monitoring that could prevent leaks, maintain the water pressure, and ensure the highest water quality for people relying on it every day. And for many years, this community have been looking forward to a consistent water supply because you don't know it's each drop is very important to them. Each drop wasted means less for the people who needed it most. So, in collaboration with our customer, we introduced a SaaS solution, a cloud SaaS solution that allows real-time monitoring of those pipelines. And we want to ensure that those are monitored in real time. So, recognizing the gravity of solution, because this happened during 2020, and so our team engaged early. So, despite the restrictions of the COVID-19, we conducted site assessments, testing, and geotagging with the customer's helps. So we demonstrated how our SaaS SCADA solution could monitor and automate water operations remotely. So we showcase its capability without having to go on site. It's a game changer given the travel restrictions and checkpoints in place at that time, right? However, there are also challenges along the way. Our cellular network reliability was inconsistent. It's a crucial part for the system's remote monitoring capability, um, and we leveraged all available network providers to secure, those necessary connections. We also put in a very particular solution that can do store and forward when the service is out. So this approach allows us to maintain the integrity of our solution, even in the areas with the weakest and weak coverage. So the solution we implemented was a combination drawn from various products of our portfolio. You will see here the software service SCADA Cloud. It is for the seamless data collection. You're also seeing there the PLC, the Emerson PLC. It's to precisely control the backwash processes of the treatment plant. And we've also used a flow computer, and it is a solar battery with a solar battery pack for sustainable power. So by integrating these components, we crafted a system now that met their needs while ensuring efficiency and environmental conservation. So the SaaS cloud architecture serves as the central hub for managing and monitoring the entire pipeline. This setup ensures seamless communication between you will see there the flow computer units deployed throughout the pipeline and the PLC located in the control room. This architecture not only enables efficient remote monitoring, but also offers centralized visibility. So you can see the status of the network from the headquarters or to your mobile devices for real-time updates. Uh, there is one important component there. It's our flow computer that's strategically deployed at pressure management stations within the pipeline. It's crucial. I said that because it's the one monitoring and regulating, ability to regulate the water pressure, and it is equipped with a store and forward capability. So it can collect and store critical data even when the cellular connections are lost. And once the connection is reestablished, the stored data is forwarded to our cloud system, ensuring that there's no loss of vital information. So we maintain the integrity of the pipeline monitoring. Um, Noteworthy there is also of course, the headquarters and the mobile access. Since these devices are integrated into our cloud SCADA system, we operators can view and control the entire system from it remotely using mobile devices, ensuring constant awareness. So this impact was immediate and transformative. The new solution It stabilized the water pressure, it eliminated leaks, and it greatly improved the water quality, bringing a lot of relief to the residents. So the customer was not only impressed but committed to an ongoing partnership, and they recognized the value of a solution, that combines both advanced technology but also understanding their challenges. So I'm showing you, this is the flow computer at the monitoring. It is paired with a solar battery and panel. It ensures sustainable operation for pressure management station in remote areas. So this configuration not only reduces dependency on traditional power sources, but it also minimizes operational cost, and it aligns with the environmental goals. Um, you're seeing this, but at the heart of this transformation was our SaaS cloud solution. So these field computers played a vital role, but it is the cloud and the software that made it all possible. The real-time monitoring, analytics, and automation provided by the platform allow the customer to respond swiftly. And this cloud-based approach wasn't just a tool; it was a lifeline that allowed the entire system to operate smoothly and efficiently. So I hope these stories, these innovations, is a testament to resilience. It's a testament of resilience through partnership and collaboration. We work closely with our customers. We identified their needs and tailored a solution that would make address their problems. So I encourage you again to visit our booths where our team are ready to discuss all these aspects in detail. So there you can explore the solutions, and as you learn more about that, also understand how we can work together to tackle similar challenges in your industries. So I thank you. I leave you with that. My 35 minutes is done, and hopefully I was able to show you, the three items: the flexibility, strength, adaptability. When I ask you, what is resilient, this is the story of resiliency that I've seen, and hopefully this helps and inspires you in your industry and in your journey in your software journey. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. So, for your presentation, I see some of you sharing your emoji. So, show some more appreciation for our speakers and your hearts, your claps, your cheers. All right. I see many hearts here, claps. Thank you so much. Now, I think we have some questions for you here from our audience. So, let me read the first question, which is from Armando Junior Durante. So, this question is, why is resilience important in IT industry in innovating?
Thank you, Armando, for your question. No? Resilience means basically staying alive. No, we want to be constantly uh, we need to be constantly engaged with our customers, because when we understand our customers, it is there where we provide value. And as we provide value, we become resilient. No, we become resilient. We become um, alive. We can bounce back. It's basically we exist, no, to provide those value to our customers. So resilience is very important, um, to keep us going and to keep us innovating further. It is through innovation that we become really resilient as we understand the customer's problems.
All right. Thank you, Anthony. So I hope that answered your question, Armando. So we have a question from an anonymous attendee. So his question is, does PMS means pressure management system?
That's right. Yeah, yes, pressure management or pressure monitoring system. Yes. Um, you seen that in the areas of the map where there are stations. No, these are stations actually. Sorry, these are stations. Pressure management stations systems where we collectively these are data points where we get pressures reading pressure reading to be able to understand the whole situation of the pipeline. So they are located in very specific strategic places, and that is where the flow computer reads um, the information needed to be able to do some analysis of how the pipeline is doing. So that's right.
All right, thank you for that elaboration po. So, moving on to our next question, we have this is from Nestor Honra. So his question is, does Emerson had a SCADA solution for electric utility?
Thank you, Nestor, for your question. Um, I am not familiar whether we have exactly an. I'm not familiar which part of the electric utility you're talking about. Okay, electric utility to me has a lot of different aspects. It could be the asset management part of it. It could be the control part of it. So, Nestor, I would like to dive deeper. But what you have, because my answer would be yes, but there might be some answer that I could say no. So it depends on what areas, what perspective of the electric utility we're talking about. And I'm happy for your questions because this means to me that something, there's a bulb light moment. These things might be not. I'm just inspired a few days ago because we had. I, I I think you've seen the launch, the SpaceX launch. No, those are impossible initially, but when we work together, as we collaborate, as we open up this problem, hopefully you can meet me or somebody in the Emerson and let's talk deeper. Because my answer there is yes, but then I can, on the back of my mind, there are certain areas I could say no, no. So hopefully we can go deeper into that, and hopefully other industries as well. You can think of something that is similar to these solutions. And this not only helps you, I think, but also the Philippine community as well. As we endeavor into these nice solutions, and tackle these problems. So Nestor, thank you for your problem. The answer is yes. I can think of something in the yes part, some of the reliability stuff. I can see some of that. The other part, I think we need to talk further.
All right, thank you. So, we have another SCADA question. This is from Chris Manalastas. So his question is SCADA's monitoring real time in water management?
Is it real time? You have to have how real time do you want to get? Yes, the answer is yes. There are certain you can set certain uh, the algorithm to provide the information is configurable. That's what I can think of. Um, so how much real time you want it to get is a question that I would ask you again. Again, I'm gonna go deeper into the question, but it's something that we can design depending on the needs of your requirements. So the answer is yes, but then I would say, what is real time for you? No, is it milliseconds? Is it seconds? Is it a day or a week? Um, yeah, I hope I answered this well. But these are, please visit the booth so I can show you. We can show you what can be done and what cannot be done. I am so excited to hear these questions because these are really good questions, and at the back of that, I know you're thinking of doing something, something to solve your problem, and I'm very happy because that's the whole point. You're really you're going to your customers' needs. You're being resilient uh, for you and your company that you're working for or you own.
All right. Thank you, Sir Anthony, for that wonderful answer. So, moving on to our next question. This is from Diane May Ramos. So, her question is, how can businesses ensure their resilience strategies also strengthen their cybersecurity posture?
Diane, thank you. This cybersecurity question is so significant, and I'm glad somebody asked it. Um, there are certain standards in the industry, in the IIoT world, where you are required and you conform to these standards. So, as part of the IIoT industry standard, we adhere to these cybersecurity uh, processes. So there are processes, and they are actually, there are many phases you can do this. Sorry, there are in the development side of things. Obviously, as part of the development process, there are security activities that are ingrained. This is not. It's something that we do automatically, basically on development, and then our other groups as well who are doing the projects and engineerings, they also have a set of processes related to industry. So the question is, it gets integrated there by being, part. It becomes a part of our of how we work really. No, it's not an afterthought, but rather it becomes even during the development process itself. It's incorporated there, and even in the engineering side of deployment, it also becomes part of the process. So you have to have a strong um, governance, or governance policies for it, and it's also something that the customers are requiring for sure. I'm sure all of you have been, audited or have been asked by your customers to answer these security audits and questions. So we do that as well. So there is a process and governance in place, and it comes from the top really. Uh, what that is one of our core values is safety, and part of that safety is the security of our products.
All right. Thank you, Sir Anthony. So, we have moving on to our next question. This is from Justin. So his question is, what did your iterations look like? How were you able to test and get feedback on the solutions being implemented and their resiliency?
Thank you, Justin. Justin is obviously a very software engineer question. How did the iterations look like? We always with the highest risk item, no? Whether that's a technical risk, a um, uh, y- process risk. So we always tackle the highest risk that is seen for the project or the development. And of course, you want to fail fast on those things because they would be the most, I would say, critical, part of the projects. So those iterations, we started looking at. I did mention to you, for example, um, the cellular network connectivity. It's something that we felt was very important to address. So that would be some of the top iterations that we want to be doing. And this is basically it's basically risk management of the project itself and the development of software. So thank you for that question.
All right, thank you, Sir Anthony. So moving on to our next question. This is from JC McCamp. So the question is, what was the most unexpected challenge in achieving resilience for a large scale deployment? How did this experience shape your approach to designing and improving resilience in future projects?
Okay. Thank you, JC. Nice question, really. Um, during my early years, I would say I would talk about technology. This technology, that technology, this. But as I grow into the industry, it's actually the human component of it. When you do a large scale deployment, whether it's a new system, it boils down to having your customers understand the new processes, how to use the system, how they feel that it is solving their problem really, rather than they're being, you know, given a bunch of technology they don't really care about. It doesn't. If they feel that this is not something that is solving my problem, um, the engagement you're gonna get and and how it's supposed to solve the problem will be will not be there. So I would say I'm not saying the technical part is not important, but that is being taken care of, I think. But you also need to see the human aspect of it when you deploy something. You need to understand: are you really looking at these customers' pain, or are you just adding a few, adding clicks and buttons and stuff like that? That's really not, they don't want to deal with that. So I would say focus on the customer pain. Are you really looking at that? Are you really solving it? Or you're just making it, more complex or hiding it somewhere? Thank
All
you. These are
right.
really nice questions. I think these people have, uh, I think we share common experiences, or the way the questions are being asked. And that's nice to hear.
Thank you, Sir Anthony. So moving on to our next question. This is from Ron Ulep. So this question is: can HK MTR system be adopted to PHMRT to help improve its services?
Oh, thank you, Ron. That would be a dream for us. Yes, for sure, it can be adopted. Technology wise, I said we can adapt that. We are using the same bearing cases, we're using the same things. um, Now it becomes a factor on um, the the drive for customers to really want to do that, um, and be able to accept these solutions. And it's also it also, it has to be both ways. The customer would really want to solve it, to use it, and at the same time we want to show it how it can be done and how to really get value out of it. So yes, the answer is yes, and I hope we can do this together. I know there's a lot of people here, not only for our MRT system, but the other infrastructures that we're using in the country. We because it's a fulfillment thing. I can do this for Shell Malambaya. I can do this for Exxon. I can do this for the global customers. I definitely want to see it being done in my country, in my own backyard, where I can reap the benefit of the things we're doing. I'm sure in each of your industry, you're feeling the same. If you're working some of those your solutions being adopted, being solving your customers' problem abroad, and it would be a dream for us. I hope with this, as we talk together, we can collaborate and do that for our country.
All right, thank you for that wonderful answer. We wish po talaga na ma-improve ang ating transportation system here. So, moving on to our next question. This is Adriel. So, it's another SCADA question po. So, this
Mm-mm.
question is Dell TV SaaS SCADA Cloud exclusive to Emerson, considering that Siemens is the current PLC being used?
Um, the answer there is it depends on what kind of um, okay. That's a good question. Let me just think my answer here. I have certain questions on um, what kind of protocols that we can talk with your PLC. These are, of course, just standard. There are standard protocols to do that. Uh, I just need to understand more on what you are supporting in your site, basically, so that we can get it together. But this is not something that is, just being done now. But the answer is yes. But we have to look at, what kind of protocols we can communicate with. And again, I am so excited to get to the booth and talk to you and understand deeper. But yes, please visit the booth. Uh, there, whoever's manning the booth there for Skate, I think it's Teo. He will be able to go there, go deeper. And I would like to be there to engage in that discussion as well. So
All
yes,
right.
please visit our booth and let's collaborate and find that common protocol that we can talk with.
All right. So we have another SCADA question for here. This is from Raul Bautista. So his question is, you mentioned that you were working on the SCADA solution during the pandemic. So during this time, what was the biggest challenge you encountered? What were the most important learnings you gathered from that experience that you can still apply today?
Um, During the pandemic, it was difficult because movement was not allowed, right? We were given passes because we work on a critical industry. But in the end, you will see that um, what happened during the pandemic is it moved yung digital transformation forward, right? It really like pushed every businesses, every industry to see the value of having these remote capabilities in place, this digital transformation in place. No, our core. I mentioned about boundless automation and things like that. So it is there where really you see that these things are very important. So that's what we learned. I think we all learned that. Everybody learned how important that is. And so I still carry on that learning now. Even though we've opened up things uh, but in the back of your mind, we can do things more efficiently, right? And your solutions or your idea about it, it is something doable. It's something of value, really. So these things that I learned from pandemic, no, yeah, digital transformation, and I still carry that, and it's still what drives us to find the value in that and provide it to your customers. So we keep continuing doing those automation solutions for them. So yeah, so please think about that. In your own industries, in your own work, you've done certain things in terms of digital transformation. We should be able to still continue that moving forward with what we have right now.
All right. So we have a question here from Elvin. So he's asking about any of your upcoming or new projects that is something exploratory or never had been done before.
Oh, there are a lot, especially in the area of renewables. We are looking at some of the marine uh, power. Actually, I we have something. It's marine power generation. No? As you know, I'm gonna focus on the Philippines part, kasi it's amazing how what we can. We are surrounded by waters, and we're looking at the. I mentioned a while ago we're operating some of the plants here in Manila. Our control system is being used to operate the plants. So we're looking at something that involves marine power generation. So these are the tides, and we have a local partners. We have local partner and Singapore partner as well. So these are the, I would say, exploratory, that we haven't done before or we want to be doing. So this helps some of the most remote communities to be able to use the marine tides for power generation.
All right, I think we can have one more question. So, this is from Glenn. So, prior to implementing the system, how do you measure how resilient it is? Over time, hardware depreciates and eventually becomes unusable. Unusable. Do you update existing systems or completely migrate to a new system?
Okay, so this is, I think you're talking about asset management per se, right? So um, you're right. Over time, any of those hardware depreciates, and that's why if you remember the four sectors of what I told you, the third part was about asset management. So this means that aside from monitoring the water pressures and all that, we're also monitoring our own devices, our own pumps, our own. Um, so because these are critical assets that you want to understand how they are depreciating. So um, this question is perfect. I mean, I think you understand the whole operating the whole thing. So it is that asset management. That's where we try to predict and understand our assets so that we can do maintenance on it the right time, no, at the right time. So so we can operate it efficiently, and we don't want to have downtimes at it as well. So yes, the answer to that is the asset management, not only the processes but also the field devices that you're using. So you have to have those. You have to manage those as well.
All right. I think we have a few more questions. So, sir, I hope you can answer their Q&A in the chat box. So,
Okay.
for the attendees, because our time is up, so unfortunately, but for the attendees, just hold on to your question. You can reach out to Sir Anthony in AirMeet via chat, and you can also visit their booth, as he mentioned earlier. So, if you enjoyed this session, please give your rating and share your feedback about our speaker. You'll find the link in the chat box. So again, let's thank Sir Anthony Bacolod by clicking on the heart and clapping emoji. So send your appreciation, guys. So thank you so much for sending your questions, and thank you, Sir Anthony. So you may
Thank
now
you for the
exit the
opportunity.
session and click on the next. Bye.